Welcome to Bunk Analysis. In this episode of Coast to Coast we hear from British UFO researcher Russ Carlett and UFO journalist Stephen Lumley, who discuss an encounter between UFOs and the Royal Navy. This encounter is hot off the press, because it only happened in 1974. Anyway, these two guests believe that the British Army personnel worked to conceal the evidence of a downed UFO. The incident is linked to the famous story of the Berwyn Mountains in Wales, but I suppose the researchers were invited to provide additional goings-on leading up to this incident. Lumley talked about how the crafts were seen beneath the surface of the water in the Irish Sea near Scotland by the Royal Navy. The Navy and some aircraft went on to corner the submerged objects, which then burst out of the sea. One of these crafts found a place to hide, the second crashed into the Berwyn Mountains, and the third landed in a nearby town and was spotted by 5 men. There were 5 entities which came out of the craft, but the British military arrived and ordered the men out of the area. The craft and its passengers were driven away to an unknown location. This is a nice story, but there are a few things that do not make a lot of sense. A craft that has both air and water propulsion is likely not going to be able to work. That's why they do not exist. Otherwise someone would probably have invented it. The energy needed to generate lift and thrust in the air is much more than to swim through water, since water supplies the buoyant force. Moreover, water is intensely difficult to lift out of because the viscosity of water is a lot more than the viscosity of air. At the boundary layer between water and air there must be helicopter blades in the air, because the blades could not churn fast enough through water to lift without breaking. In terms of a craft landing in front of 5 people and not being able to get away, this illustrates the fact that these crafts must run on fuel, because why would these entities want to be captured by the government if they were fleeing from them in the water? If the crafts run on fuel, they don't come from space, because they will surely run out of fuel during their journey through the cold and unforgiving space weather. Hence my best guess, if this truly happened, would be simply a government prank, maybe a secret experiment of some kind to see if a lot of people believe in UFOs or who knows what. It could also be a crash landing of a small airplane or helicopter which cannot be distinguished in the dark of night. When people's jobs depend on keeping classified information classified, it's pretty effective most of the time. Whatever the case, the ultimate proof is in what exists. The fact that we have airplanes and helicopters which fly illustrates that those designs are the most practical. Otherwise we would build our crafts in the shape of a saucer if that could save us money and energy. And we would not dare escape the atmosphere because there is no air to generate lift up there. We use rockets which carry ridiculous amounts of fuel to overcome the gravitational force through combustion rather than lift. There's a certain principle in biology which I think is relevant here, and that is that form fits function. Hence it's a no-brainer that a small craft carrying passengers cannot be made to travel in a vacuum, in air, and in water without violating basic physical laws. Thanks for listening.